Hello and welcome to What's My House Worth, a show that talks about the real estate here in Needham. And since this episode we'll be talking about October's real estate data, this is our Halloween edition. You'll notice Ryan is dressed up like a real estate professional. Today we're going to be taking a look at the October sales data. Ryan and I, by the way, are with Hawthorne Real Estate. We build homes and we broker deals here in Needham.
Yes,
Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Rob.
Can you bounce back from that joke?
I think so. I'll rebound.
Okay, yeah, as you always do. Anyway, let's take a look at the October sales data, and as we look back on how that month shaped out with regards to the real estate scene, there's a number for you, 23 sales, Ryan.
Yep, we're used to it. We had 23 last month, Rob. The difference between this month and last month, though, I think as we'll see, is some of the other numbers. This month we have an average list price of $873,000, which is up from last month. We were about $825,000, and our average sales price at $860,000 is also up from $823,000. But down a little bit are our sales percentages. So we're at 98.5% of list and 97.3% of original list. Those are both down from the 99 numbers that we've been seeing for the last couple of months. Also,
probably back though to within a more normal
right,
range.
And I think we're starting to trend back to a little bit of normalcy. Our average sales price per square foot at $327, down from $340, and the average days on market is going up. So I think what we're seeing is a little bit of the tapering off from the feeding frenzy that was the spring and summer months that are, it's kind of tapering a little bit, which I can't say is unexpected.
Yeah, we weren't going to expect things to be on fire forever, but just because it's tapered from really good levels means that it's still at a really good place.
No, it's not.
As far as the health of the real estate
it's not
market.
a reason to sound the alarm bells. It's just maybe the madness that we had been experiencing for the last few months is starting to kind of, settle down a little bit.
And talking about the last few months, why don't we take a peek at the last 6 months and how the sales data has kind of worked its way out since May. And there's that spike that we know of course, in June, but it looks like September to October, not much of a difference there, Ryan, is there?
Nope. I mean, and it's, this graph is always, it always kind of looks like this when you're talking about, the summer closings into the fall closings. Mm-hmm. I think we can expect November, December, January to sort of keep going down. They'll probably hover in the teens to maybe around 20, but they're not. I don't think they're going to spike up until we get into next spring. But I mean, the market is still very, very healthy. We're still seeing a lot of people. The homeowners, the buyers are complaining about lack of inventory still.
Yep.
Sellers are still very, very bullish on what they can get for their houses, as they should be. But this time of year, people tend to be preoccupied with the holidays coming up, with the weather turning sour. People sort of dig in, and we can expect to kind of coast for a couple of months.
Which means we'll have to find some more things to talk about.
Yeah, I'll put my feet up for a few months and just let the day go by.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So as you said, we kind of expect to see the graph kind of go like this going into fall. So interesting to see maybe how this October shapes up when compared against previous Octobers from years past. And is that 23 a good number? Is it a bad number? Well, if you look since October 2009, 23 is a very good number. In fact, the best we've seen, topping last year's all-time high.
Yep, and that's a product of our healthy market. I mean, it's all the things that we've been saying for the last few months. It's when good properties are out there and priced right, there are buyers for them. So it's encouraging.
Right, and we're still seeing it with houses that not even have sold, but also ones that are under agreement right now as well, that we're going to see, I think, a healthy trend continue, even though the numbers will be down due to seasonal components. Let's take a look now at the actual houses, house by house, over the 23 sales. We're going to start like we always do. Ryan, how's that?
We start with the least expensive house sold in October.
Well put. So that brings us to 12 Ledge Street. That one sold for $360,000.
Yeah, I mean, and this price reflects the location, the size, the condition of the house, yet it's also positive to see that, look, we talk about a lot of high-end homes in Needham, but there's also a lot of opportunities to get into Needham at a lower price point, and this is one of them. So there's an opportunity here to get into the threes. It's $360,000. It's 1,300, almost 1,400 square feet. Get in there, put a little bit of work into it, and you've got yourself a really nice single-family home. So I would say, this is a great buy.
A smaller lot at 5,200 square feet. You want me to put your feet to the fire with a little trivia question?
Do I have a choice?
No. Over the course of the last 12 months, there have been how many houses to sell for under $400,000 in Needham? Let me repeat that. Over the last 12 months, there have been how many homes to sell in Needham over the last 12 months?
I'm gonna go with 5.
5 is spot on.
Hey, how about that?
You nailed it. 5 homes in the past 12 months, and I did not tell him that before the show,
Hey, good
that
for
have
me.
sold for less than $400,000. So congratulations, Ryan, on that lob that I just put in front of you. Next up is 52.
You still have to hit it.
I know you do. 52 David Road is next up. Another one that's in a little bit of a tricky location, I would say. The proximity, while it's good to 128, one would argue maybe it's a little too good because it's right on top of that exit there.
Yeah, I mean, in this one, I think maybe illustrating the point about how we've kind of seen the demand and the frenzy taper off a little bit. A house sold on David Road in the spring, smaller house, a little bit bigger lot, but one less bedroom, and it sold for $561. And this one sold for $515 a few months later. So it's, I think it's still $515 is still a really good price for this house. I mean, it's a split level. It's it has some improvements, and what I liked is the listing agent actually listed in an attachment on the listing.
Yes.
It has a list of those improvements, which I think is really helpful. I mean, as a buyer agent and even a buyer, to be able to see those and kind of know what you're gonna get into when you see the house, and also when you leave to be able to take them with you, not necessarily on paper, but to have them electronically is really helpful.
Well, it's also good because as the listing agent, you put that list together once, then you don't have to do it again.
Exactly.
And it's less questions you have to answer after the fact. Plus, I noticed with those improvements, a lot of those done between 2010, 2012, and it was a pretty extensive list. So
Yeah.
you got a lot of
And
houses, it seemed like.
And you know what? It's a lot of them were not the glamorous ones, but the necessary ones. Like mechanicals, roof, like those kinds of things that you don't love spending your money on, and it's nice that somebody spends it for you.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily translate into a huge increase in value to your house, but as a buyer, those are improvements that are good to have done for you.
Right. They're not things you appreciate as somebody buying a house, but they're
Right.
things you appreciate as somebody who owns a house.
Correct.
After the fact. Okay, so
Bingo.
yeah, we're going out to Hewitt Circle, so we're going to go to a little bit of a more quiet location. This neighborhood, you can get some value there in those streets, and it's Elliott School
It
District,
is.
correct?
Yep.
25
Cul-de-sacs. Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
No, sorry. I was just going to say 25 Hewitt Circle is next up, Ryan. Go
Yep, $540,000 on a cul-de-sac, which we love.
ahead. We do. We like cul-de-sacs.
We do. The home has some settling issues, and they're very forthcoming about this.
Yep.
They've included even structural reports from engineers. It's just, buying a house is a big decision, and you just have to have all the information. And I would say a seasoned real estate agent and a seasoned seller recognizes that the information is going to come up.
Do we know if 25 Hewitt Circle was a land sale?
I don't believe it was, but that's certainly something that we can look into.
Because it's close. I mean, pricing-wise, $540 for a lot of that size in that neighborhood, I would say it's close, right?
Right,
Wouldn't
we
you
would
agree?
also render all of these structural conversation moot.
Right. Well, it wasn't moot to the listing agent because he took the time to put it together. But I
Correct.
think when you get to a price point that's close to whether it's a home buyer or a builder, you need to put all the facts on the table so at least you maximize what you get for the house.
Right.
86 Evelyn Road, I do believe was a land sale.
I
This
think
is
you
one
are
that you and
correct.
I both looked at, and this is an example of there was some money that not a ton, but this house was definitely, there was a lot of things that had to get cleaned out of it, and there was a little bit of money to make it look nice, but at the end of the day, I think it did go to a builder. But that's another neighborhood that seems to be a little more up and coming. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely opportunity there. There's risk too because you're sort of blazing a new trail as a developer, because there aren't a lot of comps on the way out. But yeah, there is opportunity.
25 Rosemary Street, as we move a little bit closer to the center of town. What do you think about this location? If you were to buy a house on Rosemary Street to live in, is this where you'd want to be on Rosemary?
I mean, I think for me, the biggest drawback to Rosemary Street is it being one way.
Right.
Although I'm trying to position this house on the street. Is this between
It's
Highland and Webster, or is
Correct.
it on the other side?
No, that is
So
where it
it's
is.
on the one way, and that to me, I think you'd have to really look at that as far as being the buyer, because you're looping around to get to your house quite frequently.
That's a good point.
And somebody may not really care about that, but it's just something to consider.
It's like Pine Street,
Right.
but on a smaller scale.
But I like this location. Otherwise, I mean, I think it's a good spot to be in. I mean, you're right in the thick of things. But being on a one-way street, could, especially with a light at the end of it, Yeah, I mean, it's something that you're going to go through every time you leave your house.
True, but the upside is I would venture to guess that if there's a family that lives on this street, maybe they like the fact that it's one way because it prevents a lot of traffic if you have
That's
kids
also
playing
true.
in the street.
Also true.
I mean, just right behind that house is another house that's sold in the month of October, and that is 35 Cary Road. It's very similar in the sense of the lot specs. This one did go to a builder. We know that for a fact, right? Seems like a pretty good number for 8,100 square feet.
Agreed. I mean, and our good friend of the show, Bob Downs, was a listing agent here, and he shared those sentiments. I mean, it went very fast, and it went for well over asking, and the lot's only 8,100 square feet. So, I mean, this speaks to the demand that we have in this town for redeveloped properties for new construction, and hopefully we'll see something that's done very well here.
Yeah, I would imagine that a friend of the show, Bob Downs, when he put this on the market, knew that there was going to be a lot of demand at 525, and he priced it there just to jack it up. But 590 was probably beyond his expectations.
Right.
Good thing for the seller, though.
Yep.
Good number. 30 Morningside Road is a house that most definitely was not purchased by a builder. This was a house that was in pretty good shape. And a tricky lot, though. It was a hard slope down, right, from the house down to the rear of the property.
Yeah, these houses on the even side of Morningside have pretty big slopes, as you mentioned, in the back. This one is unique to Morningside because the Morningside's a great location. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's off of Birds Hill.
Sure.
The downside of Morningside is it has the water tower on the street. But this property, you really don't have a view of the water tower. So yeah, it's there, but you're not like sitting on your front porch or looking out your window and seeing it. So it's a great spot. You're going to have the water pressure issue, as we've talked about on a previous show with the proximity to that water tower. But I like what they did with the slope too. They have a nice walkout basement that walks right onto a deck. So it really makes good use of the sloped land. It's a nice property. I mean, it's a little dated, needs some work, but at 630, this is probably a good buy.
One observation I did notice about this house when we walked through it, though, is it felt pretty tight. I mean, from top to bottom, the stairway was tight going up. First floor rooms were smaller. You really kind of felt constricted in there, I thought, a little bit. But 630 and a house that's basically moving condition in that neighborhood. It's a good number. 23 Evelyn Road is next up. We're going to go back to Evelyn.
Back to Evelyn.
Couple Evelyns.
Pretty clean deal here, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, it's
2 days.
Yeah, we like
sold for
those.
asking.
Yeah.
1,700 square feet. These people paid $590 in 2006, so I think they did pretty well.
Yeah, and I don't think there was a whole lot of updating that went on since 2006. Like it was clean, but it was not updated.
Right, so pretty clean deal. Everybody wins.
Good sized lot, and something tells me a lot of people who are coming into Needham are coming into that neighborhood. I like that
because
spot.
that's where there's inventory and there's value there, and it's like we said. I mean, you're gonna see a trend of people moving towards those neighborhoods.
215 Greendale Avenue is next up on the list. This is a house that is not your typical Needham listing. Do you know when this house was built? Did you notice that?
Yeah, 1988.
Yeah, you don't see many houses built in 1988.
Yeah, right. And so it's classified as a multi, but it's not your
multi-level.
Multi-level, right? Right. Thank you. It's not your textbook multi-level. It's sort of just it was designed that way to fit the topography of the lot. So it's a unique house. One owner, and they did some updating after they built it in '88. So I think this is other than being on a busy road, I mean, I like it.
Yeah, the inside was very nice.
Yeah.
And it had an open field to it. It's a good sized lot, and I agree. I mean,
How about that?
I liked it. Maybe it was in the thought process of dealing the month a little bit. Didn't quite make the final cut, but I think we're on the same page about 215 Greendale Ave. 149 Melrose Ave is a house that you and I both had the opportunity to visit. 1,900 square feet, lots of beds and baths. But what the layout? What were your thoughts on the layout?
It was very choppy.
Very. I mean,
very choppy.
I've never been in a 1,900 square foot house that I felt like maybe I could be lost in and have a hard time finding my way out.
And you can't really even follow the floors because the floors, if you remember, they're all different floor surfaces. You had some laminate, some carpet, some wood, some different types of hardwood. There was really a lot going on. It was almost like it had been updated by different people who weren't telling each other what they were doing, but they were doing it at the same time. And I think you have some work to do in there as the new owner. You're going to spend a little bit of money. That's why it was priced maybe a little bit high when it came out. It was in the high sevens. and it had a pretty significant price reduction, but then sold for $30K under.
Right. Well, because on paper you see 4 beds, 3.5
Exactly.
baths, 2,000 square feet on Melrose on a decent sized lot. It's
Right.
hard to explain to a homeowner why it's not worth as much as they might think it's worth.
Right.
But in this particular case, like you said, it was. You walked in there. It just took a very specific buyer to buy a house like this, and it first and foremost had to be somebody who wanted to be in this neighborhood, who were willing to look past a lot of the other issues that this house had with regards to layout and the fact that it needed a lot of updating.
I'd be willing to bet that they got a lot of activity in this house because of, as you mentioned, how well it looked on paper.
Yes.
But then it was an uphill battle from there.
48 Truman Street is an interesting location. We don't see too many things come on this street, mostly because it's a small street. There aren't many houses on it, right?
Sure.
But
there certainly aren't 48 of them. I don't know where they got that number.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We can get back to that on the year-end spectacular. But an in-town location, and it's just a quick stroke to the shops.
It is a quick struck to the shops. We like that. We also, this is one of those houses where part of the value of the house is its finished basement, but as soon as you walk down there, you got that immediate hit of mustiness. And we just can't stress it enough, the importance of any house needs to have a dehumidifier in the basement.
Yeah, especially when you're about to put it on the market.
Yeah, clearly.
You can probably take a stroke from Truman to Galen.
Yeah.
This one had a sale price of $729. It was $10,000 over asking.
Yep. I mean, this is another one sold for $649 in 2006. Basically the same house, and it's a nice location. Good size lot. Had some updates. I mean, I think it's a well positioned house. Sold in 3 days.
Attached under garage.
Right.
Right. You had a little mudroom there to get up.
Yeah. There's definitely some slopes over on Galen. There's hills are in play.
Yes. 36 Rivard Road is another one that's just a quick stroke to downtown.
Yep.
And that is also my deal of the month.
Hey, how about that?
For the buyer, Ryan.
Go get him,
Listen, I'm not afraid to award my deal of the month to a buyer.
Nor should you be.
But you are, it seems.
I sometimes I can't help myself.
Well, what I liked about this one was the fact that it was a lot of space. And it's we've talked about this location, how it doesn't get credit for being an in-town location per se, but you can hop on your bicycle,
right?
Or take a jog over to in-town.
Or a Vespa.
Whatever it may be, any kind of vehicle that doesn't require a motor. 36 Rivard Road is my deal of the month because it's a lot of space. It's got 5 beds, 2.5 baths. It's on the market for a little while, and I think
went under agreement right away, and then it came back.
And then it came back on the market exactly. So we're not sure what happened at that first inspection, but I just thought 820 was a good number, and I think if they put this house back on the market, say next spring, they would get that and then some.
Yeah, you're probably right. How do you feel about the interior pictures? How the TV was on?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're trying to appeal to people who like to watch TV.
I guess so.
And maybe that's why I picked it. I like watching TV.
Right, there you go.
So maybe it worked. 210 May Street is next up. This is a house that you and I took a walk through, and I think we both kind of had a positive impression coming out of it. It's a unique one, but in a good way, right?
This
had an apartment in the unit. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of very subtly tucked away, but it was a legit apartment.
Yeah, and do you remember the story about that apartment?
I do.
Yeah.
Do you want to share it?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, the story that I remembered was the owners of this house had a few kids that were all spaced a year or two apart, 4 or 5 kids.
Sure.
So the deal the family had with the kids was when they were done with college, they got to have 1 year that they could live in that apartment. So as a way to save, rent-free. Yeah. So as a way to save up a little bit for wherever they went off to the following year, once the next child moved up.
Do you think that was written into the deed, so the new owner has to continue that tradition?
Probably not, but I think the better question to me is what if you had 2 kids that were 2 years apart? What about that additional year? Or twins. Maybe they flip a coin.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though. And anyway, going back to the house, though, a lot of space, kind of an interesting location into town, but a little commercially.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking across the street at Tedeschi's and Cowlick's.
Correct.
And the train is obviously a factor, but great, very convenient to town.
And a pool in the backyard.
Pool in the backyard.
Which you would never know there was a pool in that backyard.
No,
of all the times
it's like positioned on the lot, so it's almost like it's right at the corner.
Yeah, a lot of potential with that house. I liked it.
We both liked it.
Speaking of pools, we go to our next listing, and that one is at 30 Semino Road.
Sure is. Yeah, pool. It's in Mitchell. 10,000 plus square foot lot. It's got some updates. I think this is a pretty, put your sign up type of deal.
Agreed. Galen is a road that we spoke about just a little while ago, so we're going to go stroll back over there to 119 Galen Road. This one sold for $874,500. Other than the blurry pictures, any impressions on this one?
Yeah, I mean, those pictures were taken in the 1970s. But this one was a little bit of a high number for me. I think it's almost $900,000.
You think it's high?
A little bit.
It's over 3,000 finished square feet.
True, and it's a good location. This house they tried to sell it back in 2010 and weren't able to for this number, and then rented it for a couple of years, and so I mean their patience paid off. They got a real good number for this house, I think.
158 Melrose Avenue is next up, and this is a house that got a lot of action when it came on the market because it probably fit the parameters of a lot of buyers who want to either come into Needham or stay in Needham.
Yep.
Good location, good size, under $1 million, good condition.
Yeah, all those things. I mean, it's a great spot. It is on the corner. Not a ton of outdoor space. The lot is well under 10,000 square feet, but a very nice addition put on that from the interior gives you a lot of space. And not surprisingly, it sold very quickly.
Yeah, corner lot, tough. Not much in the way of a backyard. You have a little patio back there, but you got a good side yard, a good street to play
And
on.
you have Perry Park, just a few short steps away.
So now we are going to jump over the $1 million threshold to a listing on 1200. That's 1200 Central Avenue.
I only have one thing written in my notes here, Rob. You want to read it?
What's it say? Piracy.
Piracy.
Why? Why'd you write that?
Because I've seen this house before. Where have I seen this house before?
There's one on May Street, 77 May Street.
Right, who built that?
I think I might have. Yeah.
Did you build this one?
I didn't, but I feel like I did.
Oh.
I think the moral of that story is be wary on who you give your floor plans to.
Right. Yeah, your house did very well on Central Avenue. Congratulations.
Yes, it did better, fortunately, on May Street.
That's good.
But this one is I can probably talk a lot about this house. Garage in the back. Did not have any finished space on the basement, but 4 beds, 2.5 baths. And it's just, remarkably similar to 77 May Street.
Remarkably similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for them.
70 Birds Hill Avenue has never been accused of being similar to another house.
That's true.
That one was a one-of-a-kinder.
It was.
Oh my goodness.
Boy,
Look at that. I see some red writing. What does that mean, Ryan?
I mean, I think the seller got away with one here. It's a house in a really good location. It's on Birds Hill. For me, I think you have so many options from a design standpoint and a construction standpoint.
Yep.
So many different materials to use, like so many ways to lay out a floor plan, and I don't think any of it came together here. And having built 15 to 20 houses and trying to do them all differently, but still adhering to a basic premise that I think works. I think this builder left some things on the table here, and the seller I think got away with a pretty good price for what this house got. I'm not getting into all the specifics.
Right, but there were some things that you'd walk through.
I mean, as soon as you open the front door, you're staring at the washer and dryer. Like for me, as soon as I walked in, I knew right away that I was gonna struggle.
Oh, I think I say wash your clothes.
Right, but you don't typically want to be greeted by a laundry room when you walk in your front door. But you know what? It's a great location. You're not paying over 1.2, but
it's a lot of space.
A lot of space.
All right, so there's your deal of the month.
Moving on
to 257 High Rock Street. This is a house that, talking of a lot of space for under 1.2 million. It had a lot of it. The layout I thought was really good. I liked it. Had a really big family room. It had a nice second floor.
Very nice hardscapes on the exterior.
Nice hardscapes.
In the back, a nice walkout basement right onto a patio. It was nice, big lot.
Yeah. Well, if there was one thing working against that location, what do you think it is?
Well, busy road.
Busy road and
the
train.
Train, yeah.
Train going right along the side there.
Yeah.
But you got to give up something under 1.2,
True.
which sounds crazy to say.
Right.
I will be the first to admit that. 75 Deerfield Road is a location that's a little bit more quiet. No busy road out in front. No train going on the side of that one. A bigger lot, 14,000 square foot lot. So you got some kind of room to breathe out there. Mm-hmm. I thought the seller did well with this one.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
Built in 05. I mean, it's a pretty good number for a resale.
A younger home.
Yep, maturing
Maturing home. Sold for $1.325 million. 84 Glendale Road is our next house. I was thinking about this today. If all the elementary school districts had to rank their best neighborhoods, I think this might be Hillside's #1 neighborhood.
Hey, good for Hillside.
This is a good spot. Well,
It
good
is.
for this neighborhood.
Good for this neighborhood.
I like this neighborhood.
This is right near the corner of Glendale and Glendale.
Correct, and it's also near Clark. It's a nice spot.
Yeah.
You know, you got a lot of room. It's a pretty street to drive down.
Sure.
So no surprise to see a house go for $1.75 million in that neighborhood.
No, that's still a really good number though. Let's be honest. I mean, 5,400 square feet.
I know, but
1.75. That's a great number.
Yeah, but it was absolutely spectacular.
It was. New construction. Did it rent for a period of time?
Yes, I believe it did too.
But so the days on market is low, but anytime you're dealing with new construction, the days on market's always kind of interesting in terms of when it was really
right. You almost have to throw it out.
You almost have to throw it out. It's a trend bucker.
Right, because what percentage of new construction buyers, just off the top of your head, what percentage need to have the house done before they can pull the trigger?
That's a really good question. I think if we knew the answer to that, it would help shape how.
But don't say it out loud. Just think of it. Do you have a number in your head?
Okay.
All right, we're gonna say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3. 60.
Yeah. So that's about what I think. I mean,
that's nice. Well done. All right. Wow.
We should rehearse this show.
I know. So maybe we shouldn't. 415 South Street is our 23rd and final listing of the October What's My House Worth show. This one sold for $1,778, just barely beating out 84 Glendale.
Yeah, it was a tight race, but they edged them at the very end.
They did. That's a big lot right there. It's some space.
Yeah, it is a big lot. I like the exterior amenities. I like the sport court, the screened-in porch. I mean, those kinds of things. The house was nice, really nice woodwork throughout the house. It clearly had been updated. The house was built in 1923, so it had that element of like an older charm with new amenities, but still kept that character, which we like to see.
House sold for $1.847 million in 2004.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So that does it for the 23 home sales in Needham. Let's take a quick look at the market snapshot and see what's going on in town as of November 1st. Ryan, what do you see?
Well, we have 59 active single-family listings versus 59 at the same time last month. They are not the same houses, though, Rob. Very important to distinguish that.
Right, correct.
44 homes under agreement versus 45 last month. We're holding very steady. Same with the average list price of 1.5, still skewed by our outlier. Average days on market of 102. And I think we can expect these numbers to kind of maybe creep up a little bit as we get into the winter months. We may see some absorption of some of the existing inventory that's out there. We're not going to see a ton of new activity, I don't believe, until we start to thaw out in 2014. But that's not to say that demand wouldn't be there. Mm-hmm. It's just that, year over year, we just don't see as much activity. But don't be afraid to still put your sign up if you're looking to sell at this point.
I think when we look at the houses that are on the market versus the houses that have sold, the two things as we take a quick look again at that market snapshot, I mean, the two things, and maybe we can analyze this a little bit the year in spectacular, but it's the days on market and it's the average price per square foot. Because there's always, most always, a pretty good discrepancy. Like the things that are selling in 30 days. The things that are on for a while. They drag, so the signals are there that people should be seeing to reduce their price. And
right.
For whatever reasons, they're not.
Right.
And then, same with dollars per square foot. I'm sure there are some houses that fit the perfect mold here that the market is screaming for them to reduce the price, but for whatever reason,
you
have stand firm. And now that they've gotten so close to the holidays, then you've kind of painted yourself into a little bit of a corner.
Right. It's important, as you said, you have to listen to the market, look at your numbers, and be objective enough to adapt.
Yes. Well, if anybody wants to become objective and adapt to this market, or just they want to know what their house is worth, how would they reach us, Ryan?
They can call us at 781-707-6564, or alternatively, email us at rob.ryan@hawthornre.com.
All right. A few reasons that they might call our show. We'll go back and forth. I say number one, because they want to know what their house is worth.
That's a good reason. Also, number two is they may want to engage one of us to help them buy or sell.
That's another good one. Number
Don't
three,
be afraid of that.
Maybe they want to do a project, because as licensed construction supervisors, we can do that as well. And number four?
Number four is, a lot of times people just want to bounce ideas.
Yeah, friendship.
They might have heard something on the show that they want further explanation on. Give us a call. We'll be happy to talk to you.
Hopefully we hear from you. If not, you will most certainly be hearing from us on the Needham channel, both this month and every other month.
Every other month?
I mean, all the rest of the months.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess that was a little confusing. But that does it for now along with Ryan. Nice costume.
Thank
My
you.
name is Rob. We will see you again very soon. Thanks for tuning in to What's My House Worth.
Good work, Rob.
You too.